That's bad.
All right. Well, that was pretty wild. That was leaving on 4 PSI, trying to ramp it. Like, typically, when you're on, like, a really good surface, you'll have the boost ramp kind of like this and then taper off. That was basically like this, going from 4 to 15. And I don't know how well it's going to transfer to video, but it got out of shape freaking immediately. And then obviously had to pedal it. And then this single wastegate on the driver's side bank, not happy. It's just, it can't control it. I think at a really high boost level, it'd probably be able to bleed off enough, but trying to control it. Initially, I was at 10 pounds when I tested this morning, and this was set at 15 pounds, and it still kept blasting right past it. So James Brown's making some boost, no doubt about that. And it is so hot and muggy out right now that it making the 5-6 pounds that it's making is awesome. The higher compression motor is definitely helping spin that thing up pretty good. So we're looking pretty good. Now we just need to control the boost. And I knew that the single wastegate would kind of have some issues with that. Not a huge deal to add a second one. I do need to get it though, because right now I've taken the car out 2 different times. The first time I was commanding 10 pounds, and within 1 second it blew past that to 15 pounds, hit boost cut, and had to like let it chill out for a second before I could get back in it, and it just screams past it. Like this thing at trying to command a low boost, it just cannot bleed off enough airflow, which expected. You know, it's only on one bank, higher compression motor. So I took it out again thinking, you know, maybe if I raise the boost level, it could control it a little bit more. So I increased it to 15 pounds, blew past it again to 17 where my boost cut was on this last time that we just took it out. And the thing just, it wants to party. No doubt about that. She just wants to cruise. So I'm definitely going to have to add a second wastegate to the passenger side bank. Like I said, not a huge deal, fairly easy to add. I made sure to leave myself some room in case I did need to. I can add it right off that elbow pointing kind of down, and we should be good there. And what I was doing testing the 2-step here was I wanted to try out a couple different techniques, because normally what I'll do is I'll hit the 2-step button and then kind of roll into the throttle and let it start building boost that way. Sometimes that makes it kind of slow to like get over certain humps, you know what I mean? So what I was just trying now was I would get on the brake, because this car is still foot brake, there's no trans brake. So I'd get on the brake, get it pumped up and everything, pull a little bit of vacuum to really help with the brakes, and then I would rev it up, and when I do that, the thing's fine. I took it up to like 3,300 a couple times here, and then I'll hit the 2-step button and it'll do that, and it built the boost super quick. I bet within 2 seconds I was at 5-6 pounds, which for this car's history is pretty good. Because trying to foot brake cars and build boost, kind of a pain in the butt. It's so much easier with a trans brake. We're making some pretty good progress there. I think next time we can actually take this to the track, whenever the next test and tune is, whether it's 131 or Onondaga, we'll be able to do that and get boost built pretty quickly. But yeah, the car absolutely needs a second wastegate, so I've got to get that ordered. I know that there's some boost level where this wastegate would be able to bleed off enough, but it's probably something stupid high. And I don't think there's any reason this car needs to make more than 20-25 pounds of boost. The motor should make more than 400 at the crank, but let's just say it's making 400 on 15 pounds of boost. That should put it close to 800 horsepower. Theoretically, obviously, there's some parasitic loss here and there on things, but this thing should be able to do 800 horsepower pretty easily, I think. And in the driver's seat, it feels way rowdier than last year. It's night and day, honestly. But I would love to be able to kind of creep up on things. So if I could go to the track and make a couple passes on 10 pounds, make sure everything's looking good, and then go up to 15 pounds, make sure everything's looking good, you know, kind of sneak up on it instead of just having no choice but to go at like, what, 20-25 pounds, whatever it'll be able to control it at. And I'm still playing with the PID settings in the boost controller. I think I'm getting that a little bit closer. Things seem to be following the commanded a whole lot better. So we're still just slowly picking at it. So this thing's just an absolute rowdy street car that seems to be doing really good. This thing, we finally got the turbo for. Showed up yesterday. And I'll show you that in a second. But I got the exhaust pulled off of it. This is the exhaust system that was on it. Not a bad little deal here. It's just a Dynamax muffler. What I'm going to put on it is this Black Widow, I don't remember which one it is. It's a Black Widow Venom 300 series that my buddy Eric gave to me like a year ago off of his truck, and I haven't had anything to put it on until now. So this is what we're going to toss on it, and it should sound great. Basically just a resonator, but the turbo will do a lot of the muffling. Turbos are the best muffler, centrifugal muffler, if you will. And I did have to modify the crossover a little bit, but we got it all bolted up. This thing initially was like way over here. I don't know if the heads are different compared to what the guy I got it from had his motor on, or if they modified it at one point for something and sent it straight to ceramic coating. I don't know, but we got it on, got everything bolted up, looking pretty good, and I got the wastegate on with a 7-pound spring in it. Let's get this thing dropped down and start bolting the turbo on it. And then this is where we find out that none of the oil lines will fit this turbo and everything needs to be moved and changed. So here you can see I'm using the old exhaust housing off James Brown's old turbo. This is the eBay turbo that it went 9.5 with at 140. And just use that to mock up things and make sure everything's gonna fit. But yeah, you can see I'm a little worried about these oil lines. I think the drain will probably work, but the feed, I don't know. Probably not. So I'm gonna get this pulled off, which shouldn't be as much of a nightmare as I'm thinking it will. And then we'll get the new one tossed on. All right, and here is our new turbo. Now, believe it or not, I'm sure you'll believe it, this I bought off of eBay for $260, and it actually came with a billet wheel. I thought they were gonna BS me and send a normal cast wheel, because that's what I got last time, was a cast wheel. But this is actually a billet wheel. I don't know how good of a billet wheel it is. It could be the worst one known to man, but it is a billet wheel. And this one is a 68 AR housing. You can kind of see the difference. See, this one's a 96, this one's a 68, right? This one's a 96. Yeah, you can kind of see the, well, you guys can't see, but in there it says 96. So you can see this one's a little bit bigger, this one's a little bit smaller, so it'll spool up really quick, kind of run out of steam early, being that this, I don't know what compression this 331 is, but it's a 331 and it might RPM pretty good, so it'll probably run out of steam fairly early, like 5,500 RPM or so, but that's fine because this is a street car, kind of drive it anywhere sort of deal. But the turbo itself feels good. These eBay turbos always shock me with how actually decent they are. And I might have a fitting for that. Let me go check. Maybe? Fuck. Not quite. I could honestly probably drill and tap this and make this work because I've got that size fitting, or that size tap. But I really don't want to risk getting any metal shavings in it, so that sucks. I know I've got a drain that'll work. Dang it, man. All right, so we'll just get the turbo on the car and get everything lined up as best we can and see what we need and try to order it pretty quickly. I'd like to have the car, I was hoping to have the car running today. Obviously that's not gonna happen. So we'll get the turbo on. We'll probably pull the exhaust housing off. That way we can get to all the bolts, because when they're real small housings like this, it's really difficult to get to the bolts. Like this one especially, once everything's on there, it's a real pain in the butt to get to. So we'll pull the exhaust housing off and we'll get that bolted up, and we'll be able to test the drain to make sure that'll work, because we'll probably reuse this drain, I think, and see what we can do about feed line. And then I've already got an idea for the charge pipe to the carb, so let's just get it bolted on real quick. Exhaust housing is on. You can see this drain looks like it'll work. The feed I might reroute and bring up through here, because I'm probably gonna have to do a 90 into it, because obviously on the old turbo, that Garrett Power Stroke turbo, the feed and the drain were on the same side. So now we can start mocking up the compressor side, and let me find that drain fitting, see how close we are. All right, found the fitting in my box of stuff. and it does fit in the hose there, which is sweet. I'm sure at some point down the road I'll redo that, but now is not that time. So here's some gaskets that came with the turbo. No, that's not. There we go. Perfect. Probably put it on this way. You can see it's on a little bit of an angle. I imagine we'll have to put it on this way instead of, I don't know, this way might work. We'll swing both ways and see what we're into. Turbo is on. The center section is not on too much of an angle. It's still fairly vertical, so that's awesome. We will be able to get a fitting through here and run the line down and back where we need to go. We could even run it across the engine this way. We might actually be able to run it down through here, to be honest. So either way, awesome. So unfortunately, we now have to wait for more parts. Story of my life, man. And I need to get the alternator back on it so I can measure for a shorter belt. But real quick, I'll show you guys what I'm thinking for the cold side. It's incredibly simple, so but real quick, but before we end, I'll show you guys what I'm thinking for the cold side. It is incredibly simple and could not be easier. So I thought about aiming the compressor housing down and running the piping kind of down and under and looping back into the carb this way. But then once I got everything on here and got the exhaust on here, I was looking at it and I was like, man, this is going to be so easy to just put a 90 coupler right there into a 45 like that, and then into the carb hat like this. Now obviously it needs to be trimmed down, but that works out perfectly. I can cut 2-3 inches off the downside here and it'll bring everything together and it'll work out sweet. So that's about how it's going to be. There's going to be one kind of hard 90 out of it, and then the rest is right into the carb. And man, this thing's going to be sweet. I cannot wait to hear it with no exhaust leaks, a good turbo, and I can't wait to hear that muffler on it. Once I do get it together, I do kind of want to do like a ABC testing. So I want to test it straight open downpipe, and then I want to put the Dynamax on it, and then I want to put the Black Widow Venom on it and hear how each of them sounds. So that's going to do it for today's video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you for watching. Thank you for all the support you guys give me. Anybody who's bought merch, appreciate it. It's always first link in the description below. Anybody who uses code Snydertron for 10% off at Snake Eater, appreciate it. Anybody who uses code Snyder3000 for 10% off at Circle D, appreciate it. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing, clicking that bell. We'll see you next time.